Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Metalfoes deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Zach. And this deck is an insane deck that can make some really crazy boards and it's super fun to play. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month your Patreon. And definitely give Zach some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Metalfoes Loflin. Now, all of your normal Metalfoes monsters actually share a common pendulum effect, that once per turn, you can target one other face-up card that you control, destroy it, and if you do, set a Metalfoes spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Loflin is a really awesome 3 in the deck because it is a level 7 monster, so you can make some really cool XZ plays with this card. We then play 3 copies of Gold Driver. Gold Driver is a great 3 of as well in the deck because it does come out with 1900 attack points, and it does share the same effect as your copy of Loflin. We then play 3 copies of Stealin. Stealin is a scale 8, which is really nice for the deck to be able to pendulum summon out some really cool cards, but it also shares that common effect. We then also play 3 copies of Silverrod. Silverrod is also a great 3 of the deck. I like playing 3 of each of the vanillas in this particular deck because it helps with the consistency of this build, and they're just all really good. We then play 3 copies of Mailcaster. Mailcaster is a really neat card as well. It has the ability that you can once per turn target one other face-up card that you control and destroy it, and if you do, set a Metalfoes spell or trap from your deck to your side of the field, just like your vanilla monsters, but this card actually has a monster effect. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can add a face-up Metalfoes pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, but you cannot activate it or cards with the same name to place in the pendulum zone for the rest of the turn, except by the card effect, which is a really neat thing about this card. Being able to just add one of them back is just really nice and a great effect for this card. We then play 3 copies of Bismugear. Bismugear is a good card in this deck, and I really love this card. It has the same effect just like all of your other Metalfoes for the pendulum scale effect, but if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can add a Metalfoes monster from your deck to your hand during the end phase of this turn, which is great to be able to just get you an additional one to your hand, and it's just a really good card. The only downside to this card is that it is a scale 8, and it's a level 1, so it is a little bit hard to pendulum summon this card out, so usually this card is your normal summon. We then play a single copy of Vanisher. I love Vanisher as a boss monster in the deck, but you only need a single copy of this card because it's so easy to get to. And this card has a super unique effect that if a monster you control is destroyed by card effect, except during the damage step, you can add a Metalfoes card from your graveyard to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a great effect. But its monster effect is while this card is in your hand, you can target 2 face-up cards you control, including a Metalfoes card, and destroy them. And if you do, special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is special summon the effect of a Metalfoes card, which it will by its own effect, you can target one monster that your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it, which is a great effect just to be able to banish a card that your opponent controls, which is just really nice about this card. The only downside is it does target, but it's still a really good boss monster to summon in the field because it does come out with 2900 attack points. So that's it for the Metalfoes monsters. Let's get into the tech monsters that we're playing in this deck. So for the tech cards we're playing in the deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Magical Abductor. This card is really good as a 3 of in the deck, and I really love this card overall in this particular build because it does give us a little bit of a surge, because each time a spell card is activated, you place a spell counter on this card when that spell resolves, and once per turn, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card to add a pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, which we have a bunch of targets in this deck to be able to add from our deck to your hand, but one that I usually grab off this card's effect is a copy of our Jackal King. Jackal King is a walking negate, which is really nice because each time a spell card is activated, you place 2 spell counters on this card after that spell resolves, and once per turn, when an opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can remove 2 spell counters from the field and negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card, which is just really good to be able to just have this negate in the deck. It's just an insanely powerful card. I love searching this card in the deck. We then play a single copy of Astrogast Sorcerer. We're destroying a lot of cards We have a lot of the cards with the same name in this particular deck, so this card comes in extremely handy, because if a card you control is destroyed by battle by card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can choose one monster in your graveyard extra or that's banished that was destroyed this turn, and add a monster with the same name from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect on this card to be able to use this card extremely easily in this build. I love Astrograph in this deck because it just helps you get an additional card to your hand while also giving you a 2500 attack point monster, and with our copies of Magician Souls, it helps out a lot to give us an additional high level spellcaster. We then play 3 copies of Magician Souls. Magician Souls is so good in this deck, and just a really awesome 3-up, because it has the ability you can send up to 2 spells and traps from your hand or field to the graveyard, and then draw that many cards, which is a great effect just to help you dig into the deck for the exact cards that you need. And it also has the ability you can special summon this card extremely easily by sending a level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can just instantly special summon this card from your hand, which is a great effect because we have cards like Illusion of Chaos to be able to search this card from the deck, which we also play 2 copies of Illusion of Chaos. Illusion of Chaos is really good because it has the ability to reveal this card in your hand and then add a Dark Magician or a non-ritual monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand, which basically says reveal this card, add Magician Soul from deck to hand, and then place this card back on top of your deck, which is really cool. You can place any card that you want, but I usually just place this card on top of the deck because then I use Magician Souls effect to send this card to the graveyard from the deck to special summon out Magician Souls, which is really nice. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Metalfoes Fusion. Metalfoes Fusion is a really good one of the deck, but you only really need a single copy of this card because it's super easy to recycle it because it has the ability to fusion summon a Metalfoes Fusion monster from your X deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. And if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle it into the deck and then draw a card, which is a great effect for this card to have. We then play a single copy of Full Metalfoes Fusion. Full Metalfoes Fusion is just a regular fusion spell that is a quick play, but it's still a really good one-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Parametalfoes Fusion. This card is a good one-of as well. I like to play one of each of these cards so I can maximize the amount of fusion summons that I can do in a turn. This card has the ability you get to fusion summon a Metalfoes Fusion monster from your X deck using up to 1 monster from each your hand, field, and or face up from your X deck as fusion material, which is really good to be able to use cards from our X deck as well. We then play 3 copies of Summoner's Art. Summoner's Art is insanely powerful and basically is the Rhoda of the deck because it lets you add a level 5 or higher null monster from your deck to your hand, which is usually going to be your copy of Loflin that you're searching off this card's effect. We then play 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is basically like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th copy of Illusion of Chaos, because that's all we're ever searching with this card to be able to grab that card from deck to hand, and then reveal it, and then grab our copy of Magician Soul, which is really important for this build. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Metalfoes Counter. Metalfoes Counter is a good one in the deck, but I only would ever probably play 1 copy of this card, because if a card that you control is destroyed by battle by card effect, you can special summon a Metalfoes monster from your deck. And then during either player's turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to add a face-up Metalfoes Pendulum monster from your X deck back to your hand, which is a pretty good effect. Now, I do play 2 copies of Metalfoes Combination. Metalfoes Combination is a really neat 2 of the deck because once per turn, if a fusion monster is fusion summoned, you can target a Metalfoes monster in your graveyard with a lower level than that fusion monster and special summon it. But the big effect on this card is if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add a Metalfoes monster from your deck to your hand, which combos extremely well with your copy of Magician Souls, turning this into an additional Rhoda for the deck. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Mytherium. Mytherium is just good as a 2-of. I love this card in the deck. You're summoning it all the time, and it's really easy to put on the field because it just requires any Metalfoes monster plus any Pendulum monster. So basically 2 Metalfoes, you can make this card. It has the ability you can target 2 Metalfoes cards in your graveyard and 1 card on the field and shuffle the targets from the graveyard in the deck, and if you do, return the target on the field back to the hand, which is a great effect for this card to have. It also has the ability, if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can special summon a Metalfoes Pendulum monster from your graveyard or face up from your X deck, which is a pretty good effect. We then play a single copy of Oraculum. Oraculum is really good as a 1 of the deck because it does do piercing damage, which is really, really nice. But this card has the ability, just takes any 2 Metalfoes to put on your side of the field. And if a Metalfoes monster you control attacks a defense position monster, you inflict double piercing damage to your opponent. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to target 1 card on the field and destroy it. We then play a single copy of Alcahest. Alcahest is just a great 1 of in the deck. I don't feel like you need any more than a single copy of this card, but it's a great 1 of to be able to put on the field. We then play a single copy of the Pendulum Metalfoes, Parametalfoes. This card is a great card in the deck. I love this card, but you only need a single copy of it. It has the ability, if a face-up Metalfoes card you control is destroyed by card effect, except during the damage step, you can target 1 face-up card on the field and destroy it, which is a pretty good pendulum scale effect, but it's really easy to summon to the field because this pretty much is the boss monster of the deck, because it requires a Metalfoes plus a fusion monster to summon out this card. And if this card is special summoned from the X deck, you can target 1 card that your opponent controls and shovel 2 face-up pendulum monsters from your X deck back into the deck if you destroy that card. And you can only use the effect of this card once per turn, and if this card in the monster zone is destroyed, you place it in your pendulum zone, which is pretty good because you're constantly recycling this card. We then play a single copy of Vortex Dragon. Vortex Dragon is a great negate in the deck. And you might be wondering how you're actually summoning out this card because we don't play any Odd Eyes cards in the main deck. Well, it's super easy to put on the field because all you do is summon out your copy of Absolute Dragon, and then you get rid of your copy of Absolute Dragon, and it lets you special summon out a copy of an Odd Eyes monster from your X deck to your side of the field. Because if this XZ summon card is sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon out 1 Odd Eyes monster from your X deck to your side of the field, which is always going to be your copy of Vortex Dragon that you're putting on the field, which is super cool. But it's really easy to get in the graveyard because all you have to do is link it away. We then play a single copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller just shuts down the graveyard and it's easy to put on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code comes out at usually at 53. It can pop multiple cards on the field. You can change it out for Avermax if you want to, but it's still a really good card in this particular deck. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. The arrows are awesome in any Pendulum deck, and it's also a negate, which is really, really good. And it's super easy to put multiple monsters under this card, which is really, really nice, because basically you have all 3 of those zones that you can Pendulum summon to, and it's really easy to put 4 monsters on the field to get this card with 4 negates. We then play a single copy of Selene. Selene is really nice in this deck to be able to just use because we play spellcasters, and all of our Pendulum monsters are spell cards, which is really nice. Play a single copy of Beyond the Pendulum because we can search with this card, and we can also pop cards on the field, which is really good. 1 copy of IP Mask Granted to make the copy of Appaloosa during the opponent's turn. 1 copy of Cross Sheep because we do fusion summon into the deck and is really good in this particular build. And then finally, a single copy of Link Spider. Link Spider is insanely good in this deck because we can use any of our normal Metalfoes monsters to be able to make this card, and it also has a down pointing arrow. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy. This deck is super fun. If you guys have never played Metalfoes before, you definitely should because it is actually fairly budget, which is really, really nice for the Metalfoes core, which I love about this deck because all of them have been reprinted as ultra rares, and it's just a really, really good deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and there's soon come part of notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.